Hello, I'm Mccaws, and in this video I'm going to transform a floating block of dirt and grass into a wonderful jungle retreat. I asked AI to generate a picture based on the words isometric Minecraft floating house, and it gave me this one. So using this image as inspiration, I'm going to create a house on this space. It's not going to look exactly like the picture towards the end, but I want to create something magical. So let's get started. The first thing to do in this build is clear away some of the dirt. I feel that I've left it a little bit too tall. There needs to be plenty of space for sand and water. Later in this video, I'm going to fill it with lots and lots of sea life. Maybe not fish though, because I think they might plop off the edge. Once I've added a nice layer of sand, I'm going to fill it with water very simply using the water bucket. You can see that the waterfall doesn't go too far. That's because I'm at void level. Now that's done, I'll quickly tell you what mods and shaders I'm using. I'm using the Yuushya Mod, the Cocricot Mod, Mccaws windows and roofs. There's a few other ones, but I don't really use them. And then for the shaders, I'm using the BSL Shaders Classic. I'm also using the Yuushya Mod's resource pack and the foliage add-on. At the minute, you can see that I'm beautifying the edge of the lake. There are 3 spaces around the lake that I can see on the picture, and I want to have loads and loads of trees, grasses and plants, little bushes and things that make the whole area come to life. I don't want to go too crazy with the colour scheme. I want to use a muted colour palette, and this one's mostly green and oak. I added a few white lilies, and then on the lake, I added some lily pads for now. After I've beautified the area, I'm going to start building the house. On the picture, it looks like it's built on stilts, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my best to have this as a raised hut off the lake. The inspiration picture only shows me an isometric viewpoint, so ideally, I want to try and copy it as best I can just from the inspiration picture and my own thoughts. If I tried to copy every element like in the picture, it would look a complete mess. Some of the windows and the doors on the inspiration picture, they don't translate very well into Minecraft, and to be honest, they're a bit of a mess. Some of it doesn't really make sense, as we'll see later. Now I'm building the second floor. That's also going to be on stilts. The stilts are going to act as a support for the entire building. I don't think it would be very safe in an earthquake, but this is Minecraft, there's no earthquakes yet. Around the entire structure, I'm going to build a fence as well. It needs to be safe for whoever lives here. I imagine the person who lives here is a man. He's an explorer, and he's finally decided to settle and make home in this wonderful little location. Perhaps whoever lives here is an ecologist. He's decided to make his own house from sustainable resources, and perhaps he lives off the land. He's found his own food sources here too. The third floor is also going to be built on the stilts, and as you can see, I'm having a little trouble with the staircase leading into the lake. On the inspiration picture, there's no real access to the second floor, so I need to improvise in order to make that work. And basically what I did was have 2 staircases leading up to the second floor, and then access to the first floor off the stairs just to the left there. And now for the third floor. The third floor has the house. This is going to be quite a challenge to build it. I don't want it to be too big, but it does have to be of a certain size. You can see here that I've made it absolutely massive, and there's no real access around the back. So what I need to do is expand all the other floors a little bit in order to have a walkway around the entire edge. In the inspiration picture, it does look like it has a walkway going all the way around, and I kinda like the idea of it. It's like an observation decking. He can see his next adventure from there. I'll also extend the front bit a little bit, and then make the house a bit squarer. Now he can walk around all of the decking upstairs, and there's full access to everywhere. I just quickly check things, and then I changed the staircase. I want it to be a little bit more interesting than the plain staircase that you get from the standard Minecraft game. This one comes inbuilt with a railing. I think it looks really nice so far. Send me a comment about how you feel about it, and if you're liking the build so far, subscribe. I'm trying to build my channel up, and these floating houses are quite fun to do. I like having some kind of limitation when I build these things. A single picture and a very small plot of land is very, very constraining, but I really like building these things. And what I need to do now is add doors and windows to the house. I keep going back to the inspiration picture looking for ideas, but I'm losing faith with the inspiration picture now. The doors and the windows do not translate to Minecraft at all, and it looks very weird. So I'm using a very tall door. I think that's from the Yuushya Mod, and then I'm using some of the windows from the Cocricot Mod. Now it's time to beautify the third floor area. I added a table and a couple of plants. Around the side of the house, I actually cut away one of the wall spaces so I can fit in a plant, kind of like in the inspiration picture there. It wasn't too difficult to do, and now I'm going to work on the roof. In the inspiration picture, it has a blue roof, and using the Mccaws roof mod, I chose this blue one, this baby blue roof, which I don't think looks good. It doesn't match the wood, but I'll go with it for now, because I do want to follow the inspiration picture somewhat, and I'm trying to put the tiles where I think they would go, and how it looks best. Right now it's a bit too sloped on the sides. I think it's a bit more like a mushroom roof, and it doesn't really have that exposed oak. This is a little bit of a problem, and I also need to decide exactly where this middle bit goes. It's not working with me to specification. I'm using the GUI tool and the gourd from the Yuushya Mod in order to try and move the tiles down and fit them properly. The roof tiles you get in the Mccaws mod and the Yuushya Mod, they usually fit quite easily, to be honest, so I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this. After measuring it and checking it, I'm kind of happy with that for now. I add a few more windows to the side and the back so the resident can access the back part. Now what I want to do is start adding some window frames. I think it makes the house look a bit more lived in. That baby blue roof is really bothering me, so I'm going to change it soon. But for now, I'm just going to add some window frames and make sure the house looks fairly decent on top. I think how it's going is pretty good, so what I'm going to do is add a few more oak panels on the roof. Again, I'm not happy with the design, to be honest, so I'm going to change it to be a bit more triangular, just like in the inspiration picture. And to be honest, the triangle roof does look a little bit better. It's not the exact colour I want it to be, but never mind. I'll put those oak panels back in. I'll add a small window as well. I think it looks a bit more like a survival house now. Inside the house, I'm going to change the roof a little bit so it's nicely leveled off with some oak panels. I'll add another window at the top, and then I want to change it just a little bit inside to make sure that everything looks the same. I'll also add a couple of stairs to hide those baby blue blocks inside. I really don't want those to be visible. As I zoom into the room a little bit, you can see that it looks fairly decent when it's all oak paneling. I'm going to go around the building quickly and then change a few of the bits so everything matches. Now I'm going to try and beautify the whole area with plants. In this particular build, I want to have loads and loads of plants. Because it's on a lake, I feel like the lake wants to reclaim everything and destroy this house. But it's also a quirky design by the ecologist who lives there. I think it will look fantastic with loads and loads of little nature details all over the house. With the Cocricot mod, you can use little vines that can go on the side of the house. And I noticed that if you stack them, they can go longer, so they look really cool. I'm starting to deviate a lot from the inspiration picture, which is probably a good thing. This is a nature house, it's not some AI crazy stupid thing. It's going to take a long time adding all of those details, but as you can see, the house is starting to take shape. Around the side here, I'm going to put some slippers. Whoever lives there likes to use sandals, because why not? It's quite wet. I'm also going to put some more plant pots on little shelves and make sure there's loads and loads of nature details all around the place. It's a little tricky to add this pot. That one doesn't want to work with me. I can't use the gourd or the GUI tool, so I changed the pot for this Cocricot one and put a little aloe vera in there. That looks nice. Now I'm going to hang loads more vines and extra details on the second floor, and then hanging from the third floor as well. There's going to be loads. You can see it's looking really natural now. I'm very happy with how these vines work as well. I want to add so much nature to this place, it almost looks unrecognizable. There's just so many plants growing everywhere. You can actually stack the vines on either side of the blocks as well, so you can double up the thickness of the vegetation. That's a little trick I'm doing to make sure the vines look really thick. It's a slow and steady process, but I'm getting there. I'm putting little plant pots on the side, testing it to make sure it works, changing some of the plant pots as well. I want to have loads of different little plants all over the house. Plant pots on the side there, they could be easily pushed off by the wind, I think, but it doesn't matter. It looks really wonderful with those ivy leaves, and there's different kinds of hanging leaves you can get with the Yuushya Mod and the Cocricot Mod. I want different colors of green all over the house. There's many choices and it's difficult to pick the exact ones I want, but I'm going with hanging oak leaves and those vines. They're the main feature of the house. I'm actually working around the back right now and you can't really see that, but you can see it's looking very thick with vegetation, and I'm pleased with the process actually. The inspiration picture has took a back foot for now. I want to start designing it how I feel it would look, rather than that picture all the time. At the side, I wanted to put loads of hanging baskets, but I think if you stack too many, it doesn't look as natural as it could do, so I reduced that to only 3 at the bottom there. I'm not being too precise on how I hang those leaves. I just want to put as much stuff as I can to make it look nice and natural, nicely overgrown as well. The standard ivy you get in the Minecraft mod grows too much and it's a little bit funny, so I want to leave that. I want to go with the Cocricot stuff, which doesn't grow. And now in my process, I'm going to take a minute to just look at it and think. And you know what I've thunk? I need to change that roof to be a green grass one instead. That would look a lot more like an ecologist lives here who really cares about the environment, rather than slapping on a PVC or terracotta roof, which makes no sense really. Luckily, in the Mccaws roofs mod, there's a grass choice, and I think that would look fantastic in this area. It also goes back to what I was saying earlier in the video, that I want to have a muted color palette going on here. I don't want to have too many wild colors, and I think that baby blue roof was just disgusting, really. It didn't match the aesthetic of the house at all, and it kind of bothered me for some time. The process of changing the roof was really easy. I just had to remember where those bits were, and then just switch them, no problem at all. I also have to add the little block at the top there and a half slab which you can get from the Yuushya Mod. Thankfully there's a half slab grass choice as well. I'm very happy with that, otherwise it would look a mess. Now that the roof is finished, I think it looks fantastic. I can finalize some extra details by adding a few more plants. I'm going to move on to adding a few more details like a little note there, and then I'm going to start working on adding some things in the rooms. I'm going to go up and down the building, but I'm going to make sure I concentrate on each floor at a time. There's some hanging lights in this room. That's going to be the bedroom space actually. That's where the explorer lives. In both the Yuushya Mod and the Cocricot Mod, there's lots and lots of choices for lights. There's too many choices for lights, to be honest with you. It gets a little bit overwhelming, but I quite like using the little Japanese sconce light that you can see me placing around the top floor. They're not too big and they kind of fit in with the whole idea that this guy's an explorer. He's been all over the world before deciding to set up home in this wonderful little place located on a beautiful little lake. I think if you had access to some kind of postal service living here, this would be a really nice place to live. I feel it might get a bit too cold and wet during the rainy season, but I'd certainly like to have a holiday here. It looks like a really nice holiday villa. I'm just going around the property, changing things and making sure everything fits properly. Taking a step back again, I noticed that the roof has some kind of problem. I think I popped in too many oak panels while I was doing it, so I quickly fixed that and then add something to the house over here. If we look at the inspiration picture, there's something dangling on the right-hand corner, so I've decided that it's going to be a hanging rock. Maybe this is something that the explorer has collected over his years. It does look like a hanging lantern, but I don't care. I want to have a rock. I'm going to add loads and loads of lights to this property. It's going to be very well lit at night. I'm just going to add a few more details and maybe put in the stairs just into the lake. On some mornings, I think the explorer wants to go for a swim before falling to his death in the waterfall. Now back in the top room, the bedroom space, I'm going to add a stairway so he can get upstairs. This is not an easy thing to do because I'm starting to cut into the space for that room, and it takes a few iterations before the staircase is correct. Now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to start working on the second floor lighting real quick before thinking about adding some life to the lake. Those Cocricot lanterns look really good in those rooms. I like that bamboo wood effect, it looks really natural. Down in the lake, I'm going to add some drip leaves, but drip leaves don't grow on sand, they grow on dirt, so what I have to do is remove some of the sand and change it to dirt, and then simply plant the drip leaf. I'm also going to add some bamboo and sugarcane to the sides of the lake. I think that adds just a little bit more nature, and you can see at the back, I've added a nice little campfire. I think that gives it an extra bit of life at the back of the house. Now I'm going to work on the ground floor. There's plenty of details that I want to have in here. It's going to be an eating space, I guess, and somewhere to relax. The occupant wants to have lots of green things, so he's going to have a green table, some lovely green chairs, some green carpets and rugs, and a little bamboo table. I've got to try and figure out exactly what details I want to have in here. There's going to be lots of little cushions as well that you can sit on and relax. Maybe this ecologist guy is one of those people who likes to sit on cushions on the floor. I personally prefer a sofa, but you know, some people have a different lifestyle, and I think if you lived at this lake, you'd probably be a very healthy individual, so sitting cross-legged for breakfast would be ideal. The boxes are going to have lots of fresh fruit and vegetables in. He's obviously got some kind of foraging lifestyle, and the dining table is going to have some nice fresh food. I'm also going to put some candles on this little table. Those dishes on the table look like fresh fish to me. I think that would be fantastic to eat. Under the staircase, I'm going to add a couple of boxes of apples, put loads of little plants around, and that's pretty much the design of my first floor complete. For the bamboo table, I added something from the Yuushya Mod just to make sure it's not just a piece of scaffolding, otherwise it's too weird. On the lake, I'm going to add a boat. I think a boat would be a fantastic idea. I'm not exactly sure how you'd access that. We've got to imagine that this lake doesn't fall into the waterfall. That's not ideal, is it? I quickly went around the lake and added bone meal to the sand. I also put some sea lanterns in there so that the lake is nicely lit up. I want to add as much life in there as possible, so I added some kelp and put in a few sea cucumbers. Now the lake looks teeming with life. The only thing that's missing is fish, but if I add fish, they're going to fall off the waterfall, so I'm not going to do that. There's a few more kelps to add. I want it absolutely brimming with nature down there. Sometimes I guess there's food there too. Maybe you can stand fishing on those little steps. Now that the lake is finished, I'm going to go to the second floor and start adding details to this area. This is going to be more of a workspace. It's going to carry on with a similar theme as before. I'm going to have lots of little details going on, the same green table and chairs. I'm also going to add a few more plants, a little bit different. And on the table, I'm going to add some wine, because this is also a relaxing space. The guy who lives here really doesn't work too hard, does he? I want to add lots of little plants, put some more candles up there, similar to the first floor, loads of little cushions and little places you can sit and relax. I think this floor is even better than the previous. I'll add a little cactus there in a plant pot. I think this floor looks really good. But you know what's missing? This guy doesn't do any work, so we've got to have a little laptop. Once the laptop's added, this floor's finished and I think it looks great. Now I'm going to head up to the bedroom, and it's going to carry on with the same theme as Very Green. There's going to be a nice simple bed. Above the bed there'll be a shelf, and on that shelf I'm going to put some green tea and a cake. I guess you can reach that in the morning. I'm also going to add a shelf above the stairs with one of those old TVs on it. I guess he found that. And now that the TV's in, I'm going to put a few power jacks in the room. I've just realized though that there needs to be power, so I'm going to add a generator outside, and then I'm going to put one of those spinning fans on the ceiling. I have to move it a little bit with the GUI tool, and then once that's finished, I think this bedroom needs blinds. So I've chose these bamboo designs that kind of match the light, and they also look similar to the planks as well. I'm using the gourd and the GUI tool to change them, make sure that they fit the windows properly, and then we have a bedroom space that's very private and very decent too. I would certainly like to spend a holiday there. I'm just going to add a little table and a book on the side there, and that's pretty much the bedroom space finished upstairs. I'll also not forget to add a few posters and pictures up there too, because whoever's living here needs to be reminded of home. This is home, but perhaps it's not his first home, is it? He needs to be reminded of where he grew up. The bedroom space looks really good, and that's my lakeside property finished. There's so much detail going on in this build. I think it's brilliant. I have forgotten the drains, but I don't really care about the drains. And I think there needs to be some laundry space, but let's not split hairs. This is good. I'm quickly show you a few of the shots around the outside, and then I'm going to switch to night mode. And at night you can see all of the lights are lovely and lit up. The bamboo's growing nicely on the side, and I think the sugar canes are growing too. Everything's fit for a king in this wonderful jungle retreat. If you've enjoyed this video, subscribe. Send me a comment as well. I'm very interested to hear your feedback on this build. I'm definitely going to be making another one of these in the near future, probably next door in the cosmos. I might build it a bit higher as well, because if there's waterfalls, I kind of want the water to flow down a bit. Everything's pretty much in place where I intended it to be, so let's go take a quick tour. I'm actually playing first person mode now, and you can see me walking around. Here is the first floor, fit with candles, beautiful decoration down there, plenty of space to have your breakfast and hang around. As we go up the stairs, it's very difficult to navigate. You can see the workspace fit with laptop, wine, and other things you'd need when you're working. And then if you go up the stairs again, you can see the bedroom space. Now I actually can't get past that bit because there's a bunch of stuff in the way. Some of the blocks poke out and I can't walk past, but I could easily fix that using the gourd. I'm really happy I changed the baby blue roof because it just didn't work, did it? The grass roof is a lot better. That's my build. I'm just jumping over the fence to show you. Here I am. I've absolutely enjoyed making this video. Again, if you've liked it, please subscribe. I think everything's in place for this build and I'm very happy with it. I would like to add some fish in the water, but I really don't want to mess around with that too much because the fish will be dying. I'm Mccaws, and I'll see you next time.